Have you ever heard of a queen who took on the entire Roman Empire and won? Not Daenerys Targaryen, but a real-life warrior queen whose story is even more epic. Meet Amanirenas, the one-eyed queen of the kingdom of Kush. Our story begins around 27 BC. The Roman Empire, at the peak of its power under Emperor Augustus, had just conquered Egypt. Their next target, the wealthy kingdom of Kush, located in what is now modern-day Sudan. The Romans, led by their governor, Gaius Cornelius Gallus, saw Kush as an easy prize, a land ripe for plunder. They severely underestimated who they were dealing with. Kush was no stranger to power. It was the heartland of the ancient Nubian civilization, a kingdom that had once ruled Egypt itself as the 25th dynasty. Their rulers were known as Candics, a title meaning queen or queen mother, and these women held immense power. They were not just figureheads, they were commanders, diplomats, and spiritual leaders. And in this critical moment, their Candic was Amanirenas. When the Romans began making aggressive moves, demanding tribute and encroaching on Kushite territory, Amanirenas did not just sit back. She was described by the Roman historian Strabo as a masculine sort of woman and blind in one eye. That injury, likely sustained in battle, was a testament to her warrior spirit. She was not just a queen, she was a fighter who led from the front. In 25 BC, while the Roman prefect of Egypt, alias Gallus, was busy on a campaign in Arabia, Amanirenas saw her chance. She gathered a massive army of 30,000 Kushite warriors and launched a surprise attack. They swept north into Roman-controlled Egypt, overwhelming the Roman garrisons at Syene, Elephantine, and Philae. They did not just raid, they conquered. They took Roman soldiers captive, and, in a legendary act of defiance, they tore down statues of Emperor Augustus. One of these captured bronze heads, the famous Meru head, was taken back to Kush and buried beneath the steps of a temple dedicated to victory. Imagine that! Every single person entering the temple would literally be stepping on the face of the Roman emperor. It was the ultimate symbol of disrespect and a powerful message. We do not bow to you. You can imagine the shock in Rome. A barbarian kingdom led by a woman had dared to challenge their might. The news was an outrage. Augustus could not let this stand. He dispatched a new ruthless prefect, Gaius Petronius, with a legion of over 10,000 Roman soldiers and auxiliaries, to put down the rebellion and teach the Kushites a lesson. Petronius marched south, retaking the cities the Kushites had captured. He then pushed deep into Kushite territory all the way to their city of Napata. He sacked the city and enslaved its inhabitants, believing he had crushed the Kushite spirit. But Amanirenas was far from defeated. She had strategically retreated with her forces, regrouping and preparing for the next phase of the war. The Roman victory was hollow. Petronius had overextended his supply lines and was deep in hostile territory. He couldn't hold Napata, so he fortified a different position and left a garrison before returning to Alexandria, thinking the job was done. He was very wrong. Amanirenas was relentless. She gathered her forces once again and laid siege to the Roman garrison Petronius had left behind. The fighting was fierce and brutal. The Romans, with their superior discipline and equipment, were formidable. But the Kushites, fighting on their home turf under the command of their warrior queen, were unstoppable. They knew the land, the climate, and they were fighting for their very existence. This back-and-forth guerrilla war lasted for nearly 3 years. Petronius launched another campaign, but he could not pin down Amanirenas or her army. They would strike, melt away into the desert, and reappear where the Romans least expected. The mighty Roman legions, masters of open-field battle, were being bled dry by a determined queen and her warriors in a war of attrition they could not win. Finally, in 22 BC, both sides realized this was a stalemate. The Romans could not conquer Kush, and the Kushites couldn't permanently drive the Romans out of Egypt. It was time for diplomacy. But this was not a negotiation of surrender. Amanirenas sent her envoys to the Greek island of Samos, where Emperor Augustus himself was present. This was a bold move, bypassing the local governor and going straight to the top. The Kushite ambassadors presented their terms, not as a defeated people, but as equals. And incredibly, Augustus agreed. The resulting peace treaty was a stunning victory for Kush. The Romans agreed to pull back their border to its original position. They evacuated all the Kushite territory they had occupied. And, most importantly, they canceled the demand for any tribute. Kush would remain a fully independent sovereign kingdom. They had stared down the most powerful empire in the world and forced it to back down. The Meru head of Augustus, that bronze trophy buried under the temple steps, stayed right where it was. It was rediscovered by archaeologists in 1910 and is now in the British Museum, a permanent reminder of Queen Amanirenas' incredible victory. Amanirenas' story is a powerful testament to courage, leadership, and the will to resist. She was a brilliant military strategist and a savvy diplomat who secured her kingdom's freedom for centuries to come. While figures like Cleopatra are famous for their dealings with Rome, Amanirenas is the one who actually fought them and won a lasting peace on her own terms. Her reign marked a golden age for the kingdom of Kush, with a flourishing of art, architecture, and culture. She rebuilt the cities damaged in the war and continued to rule as a powerful and respected Kandake until her death. So why isn't her story more well known? For centuries, history was written primarily by the victors, and Roman historians were not exactly eager to broadcast a major defeat at the hands of an African queen. But thanks to archaeology and a closer look at the records, her epic tale is finally coming to light. She is a true African hero, a warrior queen who defended her people and her land against impossible odds. Next time someone talks about the great leaders of the ancient world, don't forget the one-eyed queen who made the Roman Empire blink. Her name was Amanirenas, and her legacy is a reminder that courage and determination can triumph over even the greatest of empires. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the hidden figures of history. See you next time.